Well, well, well. The NFL season is in full swing. We pretty much have week 4 in the books. The Dallas Cowboys, just when everybody thought their season was over, they are now 2-2. But people are almost saying the season is over again because unfortunately, we did not leave New York unscathed. That's right, the Dallas Cowboys have 2 injuries that everyone is talking about, Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And so the question is, what are the Cowboys going to do? Are they going to sign someone? Or are they just going to see what they are made of? Let's talk Cowboys. We're about to talk facts. Welcome, 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 Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G. I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. This is very interesting to me, what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. And I've been saying it ever since I started this channel. I actually like what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not saying that I like that they are experiencing injuries or they're struggling on offense and struggling with the run and struggling with their running game and all of these different things. But what I am saying about the Dallas Cowboys is that we are seeing something a little bit different from what we are used to seeing. The Cowboys, they typically have high expectations. People are talking about how good their team is, and I still don't believe that this Dallas Cowboy era has really had a good team around Dak Prescott. But if people want to say they've had a good team, the expectations are typically very, very high. The Cowboys typically, they run through the first part of the season. They're around 6-3-ish, 6-2, 7-3-ish, and everyone's talking about what they're going to do in the playoffs, and they're one and done. Why? Because the adversity comes at the end of the season. Well, I'd rather the adversity come at the beginning of the season because it is the adversity that is going to grow and strengthen this team. It's going to help this team discover who it really is, come to grips with who they really are. And that is what's going to catapult them into the playoffs and beyond if they rise to the occasion. And so we have this issue with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. And, everyone's asking the question like, well, what are they going to do? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think they're going to do. I'm going to give some suggestions on what they could do. And then I'm going to tell you what I wish they would do. So let's first talk about this issue with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Let's talk about this issue because I don't think that this is as significant as people think it is. As in, well, if the Cowboys don't have DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, then the season is over. Or they're going to lose the next 2, 3, 4 games. But I'm going to call cap on that. I'm really going to call cap on that. And the reason why I'm going to call cap on that is because if anyone has been paying attention to the Dallas Cowboys, Micah Parsons nor DeMarcus Lawrence have really been tearing it up out there on the field. And I'm not saying that they're not helping in the debacle of the defense so far. I mean, because when you look at what happened last week, I'm thinking DeMarcus Lawrence got hurt somewhere in the second quarter maybe. And then when we think about Micah Parsons, he was pretty much nullified most of the game before he went out, I'm thinking in the fourth quarter. The reality is that both of them, in particular Micah Parsons, because he is a pass rush specialist, he's been nullified. And so who really rose to the occasion in their win over the New York Giants and helped them hold the New York Giants to 26 yards rushing, even though we're not going to try to sit up here and act like the New York Giants is a juggernaut running team. It was Mozzie Smith who rose to the occasion and Demarion Overshown. And so both of those players will still be playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because when we think about Micah and D-Law, I think that the story is really told in the stats, and it's not just in the stats, but it's in how people have been playing the Dallas Cowboys. The performance of those 4 weeks. Well, when they played the Browns rushed for 102 yards without Nick Chubb, but the Dallas Cowboys absolutely dominated that game 33-17. But then we come back to week 2 and they play the Saints. The Saints run for 190 yards. Derek Carr throws the ball 15 times, only completes 11 passes, 240 plus yards, 3 touchdowns. But they nullified Michael Parsons in that pass rush because the Cowboys couldn't stop the run. They run for 198 yards. They're killing them on the play action. So if Derek Carr is only dropping back 15 times, how many opportunities is Michael Parsons going to get for a sack? Then if you look at the third game, well, the Baltimore Ravens literally ran him off the floor. They ran him off the field. They ran for 274 yards. 274 yards. Guess how many times Lamar Jackson threw the ball? Lamar Jackson threw the ball 15 times. So there was not a lot of opportunity for Michael Parsons nor D-Law to make an impact. And I would actually call D-Law more of a run stopper. But Michael Parsons has been neutralized in these games because they're scheming on him when it comes to blocking him in the run game. They're scheming on him when it comes to blocking in the passing game, even though they're not passing a lot. And even when we look at the New York Giants, Daniel Jones passed the ball more than 15 times, but Daniel Jones is extremely mobile. He's extremely mobile. And so they had a hard time getting to him. And so when you think about what we have seen from this Dallas Cowboy defense with Michael Parsons, with D-Law on the field, is it really at this point in time that big of a loss? Until we can start stopping teams on the ground consistently. And the New York Giants, while they were not the litmus test, the New York Giants allowed the Cowboys to regroup. They allowed the Cowboys to regroup, get their feet back under themselves, try some things because they're not an extremely good team. They're not a powerhouse running team, but Singletary can run. Don't let nobody fool you. He had 197 yards coming into that game. He was obviously running on other teams, but he couldn't run on the Dallas Cowboys. And so, and the New York Giants line isn't shabby. So let's not even get that twisted. So we saw some adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. Now, Mike Zimmer, he's going to have to make even more adjustments now that he does not have Michael Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. But make no mistake about it, they have not been tearing it up out there on the field. They have not been tearing it up. Let's kind of look at what they got going on for the regular season. I mean, when you look at Michael Parsons for the regular season, I mean, look at this. He has 11 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles, 1 sack, 3.5 stuffs at the line, 3.5 stuffs for, I'm assuming, yards lost or whatever the case may be. He hasn't exactly been tearing it up out there. He really hasn't been tearing it up out there. So even when you look at DeMarcus Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence isn't exactly tearing up the field either. I mean, look at DeMarcus Lawrence. 7 solo tackles, 7 assisted tackles, 3 sacks. And if you look at those sacks, two of those came against Cleveland. They pretty much dominated Cleveland. And then he got 1 sack against the New York Giants. So when we think about it, DeMarcus Lawrence has not been a tremendous run stopper. Michael Parsons has been neutralized from the pass rush perspective. So in the grand schemes, even though I would say they are probably making some difference out there, the question becomes, until they start stopping the run consistently, Will they be able to make the impact that they need to make, in particular Micah Parsons? Because if they're not putting teams in passing situations, I mean, really, what's the big deal? Because at the end of the day, who the Cowboys really need to continue to do what they are doing is Mozzie Smith. Build on what he did last week. Mozzie Smith was a beast. Micah Parsons talked about it. He was all over the place. I mean, Mozzie Smith, he almost took out Micah Parsons. I mean, Mozzie Smith was beasting out there. And Demarion Overshown, he was all over the field. He recovered from how terrible he was against the Ravens, and he stepped up his game. I mean, just tenfold he stepped up his game. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you think about it, it's not the passing game that's killing the Cowboys. I mean, look at this. Through 4 weeks, the Cowboys have 8 sacks. Let that sink in. 6 of those were against Cleveland without Nick Chubb. Far and in between on the pass rush, and I've already explained why that is. So when you think about what the Dallas Cowboys have going on, I mean, I really think in the grand scheme of things, this is an opportunity for the Dallas Cowboys to get even better. Because if they can get even better without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence on that defense, how much better will they be when they come back on that defense? And so I got a few questions that I'm going to ask as I keep going on for us to answer, and put your answers in the chat. Some of these answers are rhetorical, but some I would like to really know. Put your answers in the comments and tell me what you think. But at the end of the day, we got to think about, so what will the Cowboys do? What will the Cowboys do? And this is my opinion about what I think they will do. But what I think they will do, looking at the depth chart. So we got Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. Marshawn Nealon, anyone? Marshawn Nealon is actually going to be DeMarcus Lawrence's replacement. I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to last past this season with the Cowboys anyway. So the Cowboys need to see what Marshawn Nealon is. Marshawn Nealon was a second-round draft pick. You don't get second-round draft picks to back up. You typically don't. First, second, third, fourth round, man, it's time to play. So Marshawn Nealon, this is really his opportunity to show what he has. Of course, they have Tyrus Wheat. I'm not really familiar with him. Got DeMarcus Lawrence back up, Chauncey Golston, and then I'm hearing about Carl Lawson. I think he's coming up from the practice squad. So the Cowboys have options to where they should still be able to be functional without Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, because I have a feeling that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to do nothing but run on the Dallas Cowboys. They are going to test out whether or not the Cowboys have discovered themselves and they can finally stop the run. Okay, you've done it for a game and a half, but now the real test coming up, because Pittsburgh Steelers is a bona fide running team, and they got Justin Fields still starting at quarterback, and Justin Fields can run the ball. So we are really about to see what the Dallas Cowboys are made of, this coaching staff, this defense, and even this offense, because they're going to have to pick up some of the slack. But I really think what the Cowboys are going to do, Marshawn Nealon, this is an opportunity. They want to see what he's made of. Because, like I said, I don't think DeMarcus Lawrence is going to last anyway past this season. So this is going to be a great opportunity for the Cowboys. Great opportunity for Nealon also. But there's a lot of talk out there. Been hearing a lot of the talking heads talking about who the Cowboys can get, who they might not get, and blah, blah, blah. So I want to run through real quickly about the free agency options. There are some free agency options out there. Now, let's be real about this. The free agency market is not that good for pass rushers. I mean, it's just not. I mean, you think about these names: Rasheem Green, Frank Clark. I mean, Shaq Lawson is a name that everyone knows. Justin Houston, Melvin Ingram, I think it's Miles Sanders. So when you think about the free agency market, there's not a lot out there for the Dallas Cowboys to do. And this is another reason why I think that they're going to see what they got in-house first. They're going to see what they have in-house first because, I mean, we have to ask ourselves, I mean, are the free agents, are the free agents they can bring in, are they better than what the Dallas Cowboys have on the depth chart? Are they really better than what the Dallas Cowboys have on the depth chart? So the reality is that the Cowboys, if just looking at this list, for sure, I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are going to, for this game, even though for this game, I think the Cowboys are going to see what they have. But at the end of the day, I just think the Cowboys, the free agency market is not that open for the Cowboys to be able to do something. There's a guy by the name of David Moore on X. Let me see if I can pull his article up. He is reporting here, if you can see, make that a little bit bigger. David Moore is reporting the Cowboys will place DeMarcus Lawrence on injured reserve. See, DeMarcus Lawrence's injury is way more significant than Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons has a high ankle sprain, they're saying. Even though he's walking pretty heavy with a limp right now, Micah Parsons, they had a 10-day break because they played on Thursday. So they're going to get 10 days. That's going to help Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons is probably going to push for playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't see it. I think he'll probably wind up playing against the Detroit Lions because that will be about 2 weeks and some change. But DeMarcus Lawrence has what's called a Liz Frank injury. And that is a very serious injury. 6 weeks, miracle. 8 weeks, that would be fantastic. That injury may actually be not necessarily season ending, but that is an injury where you're looking at DeMarcus Lawrence coming back in a playoff run rather than him coming back for any part of the majority of the regular season. I'm thinking that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out about 8 to 10 weeks rather than 6 to 8 weeks. But David Moore is reporting that discussions are ongoing, but plan now is to elevate defensive end Carl Lawson from the practice squad, third and final time for Sunday's game, and bring in several players to work out. And so that's already telling me everything I need to know. The Pittsburgh game, they're going to see what they're made of. They are going to see what they're made of. Carl Lawson, notice they didn't mention Marshawn Kneeland because it's automatic. He's already on the depth chart. He's a second-round draft pick, and I think they want to see what they have in him because I just think this is DeMarcus Lawrence's last run with the Cowboys this year. The Cowboys are getting younger, minus at quarterback because they got Dak Prescott now for the next four this year, the next 4 years. They got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Parsons. Those guys are they're not old, but they're getting younger. They're getting younger through the draft, and I think that's one of the reasons why they are not dealing in free agency, and I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But practice squad options. There are practice squad options, and I'm not talking about from the Cowboys practice squad. There are some names out there on practice squads that the Cowboys could maybe kick the tires on. Call them up to see if they would be convinced to come be on their practice squad for the possibility of being moved up. And so when we look at these practice squad options, so we got Ngwake, he's out there. We got KJ Henry. We got Kyson. We got Bo Richter, Andre Carter. But the one that I have starred, and I wish the Cowboys would have got him on the practice squad the first time, they've already brought him in, is Tyus Bowser. Now, I'm going to be objective, but I do want you to understand I may have a little bit of a vested interest because I am, I'm from East Texas, Jacksonville, Texas, Tyler, Texas area. Tyus Bowser's family is from Tyler, Texas. He's from the area too. But it's not just that. Tyus Bowser, right now, I think he's on the Seattle Seahawks practice squad. I'm not sure if they brought him up or not, but I do think the Cowboys need to consider bringing him back in. I do think they need to bring him back in because on this list, for me, he's a standout. And the reason why he is a standout is I want you to see what was going on with Tyus Bowser before he wound up where he is. In 2021, I think it's 2021, Tyus Bowser was tearing the league up. He was tearing the league up. He was terrorizing the league. I mean, look at these stats. 33 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He was elevating. I mean, he was on his way up. And what wound up happening with Tyus Bowser is that in that 2021 campaign, Tyus Bowser tore his Achilles heel on the last game of the season. The last game of the season. He was having a phenomenal season. Last game of the season. So when he tore that Achilles, it fixed it to where he only played 9 games in 2022. 8 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. So then he got a knee injury, for what my understanding is, he didn't play at all in 2023. And so that's why now he's on the practice squad. And I don't know what he got left in the tank. He's not an extremely old guy, nothing like that. He just suffered some injuries and some setbacks. But I would love for the Cowboys to bring in Tyus Bowser. You tell me what you think. Do you think the Cowboys should bring in Tyus Bowser? Bring him back in, yes or no? I hope he is one of the guys that they are bringing in, and I actually hope they sign him because I think he can pay dividends for this team down the line. And so now we're going to get into some controversial parts of this discussion. There are some gambles out there. And I want you to tell me, should the Cowboys take a gamble on this player? Should the Cowboys take a gamble on Randy Gregory? Yes or no? You tell me in the comments. Should the Cowboys bring back Randy Gregory? Now, it's strange to me that Randy Gregory, Jerry Jones went out of his way to take care of Randy Gregory. He really did. Randy Gregory was supposed to go top 5 in his draft class. Randy Gregory had a weed problem. And now, of course, the rules are nowhere near what they used to be. And I just wonder if Randy Gregory would have had a whole different career trajectory if he was in the rules of today as it applies to weed. But when he left the Dallas Cowboys, man, he left on a bad note. He left, he went and signed, I mean, for what my understanding is, he arguably signed the exact same deal with the Denver Broncos that he signed with the Dallas Cowboys. He said he was bent out of shape because there were some moral clauses in the contract he didn't like. In particular, I think about marijuana, whatever the case may be. And so he goes to the Denver Broncos. He badmouthed the ownership. He badmouthed the team on the way out the door. And he took a shot at Dak Prescott. He said one of the reasons why he signed with the Denver Broncos was because of Russell Wilson. Wow. How'd that work out? I mean, look at this. He has been on a downward spiral ever since he left the Cowboys. 2021, he played 12 games, 19 tackles. 4 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. Pretty good. Only played 12 games. But the following season, he winds up only playing 6 games for the Denver Broncos. 12 tackles, 2 tackles for losses, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. So he's going down. And so 2023, Denver Broncos, then the 49ers, 16 games. Look at this. 20 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 0 forced fumbles. And those relationships also ended on terrible notes. And so from what my understanding is, Randy Gregory is out there. No team, if I'm not mistaken. I even heard rumblings of that he said he basically was retiring from football. So I just wonder, could the Cowboys let bygones be bygones? Randy needs a job. If he still wants to play football, could he let bygones be bygones? And could the Cowboys bring in Randy Gregory, see what he looks like, and put him on the practice squad, and let's see what he does in 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks. What are your thoughts? Should the Cowboys bring in Randy Gregory? Yes or no? Then there's another gamble lie. And I don't know if it's necessarily a gamble, but I wonder if the Cowboys would be willing to approach this team about a trade for someone who I think could help them in the run. Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe the Cowboys should approach the Panthers and ask them, hey, we'll give you Trey Lance. You give us Jadeveon Clowney and something else, because or you never know, they could do it straight across. Jadeveon Clowney for Trey Lance. I so want Trey Lance to get an opportunity. I knew he wasn't the quarterback for the Cowboys, but I want Trey Lance to get an opportunity. I think he needs to get on a team that's more in rebuild mode. Let him get his feet wet and more reps and see what he does the next season. But I digress. But maybe they could trade Trey Lance for Jadeveon Clowney. He's been a journeyman. It would probably be a long shot, but he's been a journeyman. But 2023 with the Ravens, he played 17 games, 43 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He played really well with the Ravens. Now this year, I didn't get this through game 4, but this year, 9 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, 0 forced fumbles. Really? With the way things are going for the Panthers, they're 1-3. They put Bryce Young, I think, on the bench. I'm sorry. People need to stop this whole Andy Dalton train bandwagon stuff. And Andy Dalton is not taking the Carolina Panthers anywhere. Bryce Young is supposed to be their future, but if he's not going to be your future, I would bring in Trey Lance and let Trey Lance push him. And if Trey Lance beats him, what do you have to lose? But Andy Dalton, forget it. I think Andy Dalton is 36 years old. I'm not discriminating on him because of his age, but there's a reason why he's no longer starting in this league. Make the trade. Jadeveon Clowney in particular is really good at stopping the run. But y'all let me know what you think. Should the Cowboys bring in Jadeveon Clowney? Yes or no? Now my last one. I'm pretty sure you've seen the thumbnail. But this last one, to me, would be the dream move for the Dallas Cowboys. This move right here. This would be Jerry from the 90s move. This is the move that Jerry would make in the 90s. They got the salary cap room. The question is, would they entertain it? And would the other team entertain it? None other than Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick on the Dallas Cowboys with Micah Parsons, Damarion Overshown would change life on this defense. This would be a Super Bowl move by the Dallas Cowboys if they brought in Hassan Reddick. This move would be absolutely insane. I mean, this, like I said, this would be a Jerry's from the 90s move. And I want you to look at this. Look at this man's performance. 2022, 2023. Look at this. 49 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 16 sacks, 5 forced fumbles. He tore it up in 2022. 2023, 38 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 1 forced fumble. You put this man on the same field with Micah Parsons. I'm telling you, the Dallas defense is different. It's different. Nobody will want to see the Dallas Cowboys if they make that move right there. They need to make that move. I'm dreaming because I don't believe they're going to make that move. People have been talking about it. They've been suggesting it. And I'm just telling you, I think this is the move that would show not only the public, but I want us to understand what this move would do for the team's morale. This would finally be the move that would show the team, Jerry all in. Jerry's all in. Jerry went and worked his magic like he used to in the 90s, wheeling and dealing. Jerry should go get Hassan Reddick. Because the New York Jets, you're hurting your team. You got a man under contract, and Hassan Reddick is taking a serious gamble. He's betting on himself. Hassan Reddick is 30 years old. And what wound up happening is he wanted a contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Philadelphia Eagles didn't want to give it to him. He's getting $14 million, I think it is this year. I was looking at his contract. He's literally missing almost $1 million a game by not playing. And from what I am hearing, according to Mike Fisher, that if Hassan Reddick isn't signed by game number 6, his contract starts all over in the 2025 season, meaning that the Jets would still retain him for that 2025 season. So he can't get away. And so the contract would start, he would basically, if I'm not mistaken, he would be able to get the money that he's lost this season. He'll get it, but he'll get it next season if he plays. So Hassan Reddick, the clock is ticking. There's only 2 games remaining for him and his agent to make that decision. And it looks like to me, Hassan Reddick is dug in like a tick. Jets. I don't even understand. In some respects, I just think what the Eagles did, and I'm not saying, I understand it's a business, but it's a cutthroat business. So, of course, they're not going to deal him inside of the NFC. They're going to deal him in the AFC because they know how good he is. And they definitely didn't want to see him with the Dallas Cowboys for 2 games for the next, 2 games a year for the next 3 to 4 years, knowing how much he'd be motivated. So they trade him to the New York Jets. Well, he didn't want to play for the Jets, but there's nothing he can do about it. But why? Why would you let him, New York? Why would you let him rot away? He's not helping you by not playing. He's not helping you at all. And I know people, don't want to give in these players. No, you know what? Jets, help your team. If Hassan Reddick don't want to play with you and he's going to do this, trade him. The Cowboys gave up a 4th-round draft pick for Trey Lance. The Cowboys typically do not pick well in the 2nd round. I mean, look at Schoonmaker. I mean, Nealon, we're about to see what he's about. But the Cowboys typically do not do well in the 2nd round. New York Jets, put the Cowboys out of their misery and take their 2nd-round draft pick and give them Hassan Reddick. Y'all both can help out each other. Because if Hassan Reddick has dug in the way he's dug in, he can't help you anyway this season. He sits out a whole season. What will he look like next season? The Cowboys are borderline desperation mode. And even if it's not desperation mode, the Cowboys need a spark to take them to where they need to go. They're not in the NFC. I mean, they're not in the AFC. Trade Hassan Reddick. Trade him. Get something for him. Hey, you know what, Dallas? We'll do you one better. We'll give you Hassan Reddick for a 3rd-round draft pick and Trey Lance. 3rd round and Trey Lance. How about that, Dallas Cowboys? We'll see what Trey Lance is made of. Let him sit behind Aaron Rodgers and see what he's made of. I mean, this could be a win-win for both the Jets and the Cowboys. Jets and the Cowboys. But y'all tell me what you think. Should the Dallas Cowboys pursue Hassan Reddick? Because I truly believe that the New York Jets, they're not saying it, but I believe that the New York Jets would love for some team to come along and take Hassan Reddick off their hands. He's a distraction. Even though he's not a quote-unquote major distraction, he's still a distraction because the whole team knows he's not playing. The fan base knows he's not coming. Everybody knows that Hassan Reddick, unless he folds at the midnight hour, I mean, it looks like that he's willing to miss the season. Don't let this is stupid to me. It doesn't help anybody other than people trying to prove points that who got the biggest stick in the room. We don't need to prove who got the biggest stick. How about cooler heads prevail? And Jerry, hey, call her. Hey, man, let's help each other out. We'll bring in Hassan Reddick. How about y'all take Trey Lance in a 3rd-round draft pick? Give us Hassan Reddick. And then Dallas, bring him in with the understanding. Tell you what we'll do, Hassan Reddick. We'll bring you in. We'll even fix it to where you can get that salary that you've lost back with some bonuses if you meet 10 sacks, so many tackles, forced fumbles, if you get interceptions, touchdowns. We'll fix it to where you can get bonuses to get that money back. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't even be opposed to the Cowboys telling Hassan Reddick. And I'll tell you what, not only will we do that, man, we'll extend you. We'll extend you. We'll give you another 3 years on that contract. We'll extend you. Give you $100 million. Y'all know how they do these contracts. We'll give you $100 million. $45 million guaranteed. Because the guaranteed money is really the only thing they're paying. So why not bring in Hassan Reddick? Why not bring in Hassan Reddick? But that's my thoughts. I've already told you. I really think the Cowboys are first going to see what they have with Marshawn Nealon and Carl Lawson being brought up, and plus what the other depth they have. They're obviously out there looking at free agency to see what they can do with that. I don't think there's a lot in free agency, but I'm hoping they're also looking on those practice squads. I'd like to see Tyus Bowser brought in. Maybe there could be some talk about Jadeveon Clowney. Maybe they could take a serious gamble on Randy Gregory. What could he cost you? You could pay him pennies on the dollar. But if you really want to make a move, Cowboys, man, I'd go out there and try hard to get Hassan Reddick. I would. But That's going to do it for me. That's going to be my time. Until the next time, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell on this video so that you can know when the next time I post another video on Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.